Hey everybody, Ian Maddox, HMFP Financial Planning Simplified video series. I was out of town last week and so we're catching up here. Hope everybody's doing well and wanted to continue our dialogue with what is turning out to be a continued unique global event. In fact, when it comes to financial planning, economics, finance, financial decisions, and I'm not a particularly old man, but this is turning out to be something that is very thought-provoking for me, and I think probably will steer the dialogue that I have with clients long into the future. It's just a really unique thing, and the last couple of days the market has been down. We've had a week or two of the markets being up. The economic data has continued to get worse. And this just goes to show you that in short periods of time, it's very difficult to predict anything. The economic data getting worse would suggest that the market data should probably get worse. However, that's, again, as I've said so many times, things just don't work in lockstep. It is my conviction. Richard and I had some lengthy conversations. Like I said, I had some personal travel last week and happened to be around Richard and some family. And we had this dialogue that if we see that as we open up the economy, which I understand the necessity of that, I do, but if we see that the disease stays at bay or manageable, there isn't a resurgence, there isn't a major increase, the economy really could probably rally. I mean, I think that there's a very strong chance that that could happen because this has happened so swiftly. But if we get into June, in July, or especially if we get into August, and if we have resurgence, I think that there's going to be weight on the economy that is hard to absorb. And the reality is that the government just simply cannot backfill forever. There isn't capacity. There isn't just a perpetual, I know people criticize the government saying, hey, they just turn on the money printing machine. At some point, that has to stop. We can't do that forever. And so my continued encouragement is prudence, sobriety in your thinking, to realize that there's just a lot going on here. So again, just to recap that part, the economic part of it, if things seem to be okay from a disease standpoint, the economy probably can backfill. If this drags out another month or two, I mean, we're at just about historic levels of unemployment. That will probably increase even with the reopening. I know that's not going to just refill that quickly. So you're going to have a drag on employment. And so depending on what the response is, unfortunately, I know even here just in our county, we've seen a climb in disease incidence, disease death. Again, as I've said so many times, that is not my area of expertise. All I can do is look at numbers and all I can do is listen to experts. So let's just watch it. Again, let's just be cautious and prudent in what we're doing. These are trying times for everybody, and I'm reflecting now that it's May. We're within a week or two of what would be graduation, actually 4, 5, 6, 8 days of what would be graduation. So I have a sign here, and it happens to be the local sign, Hewitt-Trussville, but we just wanted to recognize class of 2020. Other folks may be watching this in other parts of town or even out of state. So if you have a senior or a family member that's graduating, I know this is tough to have to go through this right now. My own daughter has gone out to visit some family out of state, and this is weighed on her. So this is a very real thing for us. Now, what I want to talk about in terms of this situation is conceptual, and it's the idea of, on one hand, risk versus the unknown. And I thought about flipping the camera around. We've got some dry erase boards on the back wall here. We didn't do it, but I was almost going to draw an XY graph chart to explain this. But when we think about risk is something that is measurable. If you could take two jars, one jar is empty on a side, take a scale, you put a jar that's empty on one side, on the other side you fill it with gumballs, okay? The jar that is filled with gumballs represents risk. The jar that is empty represents the unknown. Inside of that jar, I have something I can measure. I can quantify. I can measure risk. I can say that I have enough information to make decisions, to insure against, to hedge. I have a mathematical equation that I can work from in order to operate. That is how we deal with cancer. That is how we deal with, and sometimes, volatility in the stock market. There's ways we can hedge against that. That's how insurance companies operate with mortality and morbidity of various diseases and incidences, accidents, right? Automobile accidents. We have enough history with something to measure it, to quantify, and to create models that can be projected out. And unless the new data drastically shifts from that, those models kind of stay in a track. And that works. We have enough information to back that. It doesn't shift much. When you have something that is new, it is unknown. I have nothing to measure against. I have conflicting information. I don't have enough data. I don't have enough history. That is COVID-19. That is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with an unknown situation. So again, regardless of where you fall in this camp, liberty and constitution, or we're all about to die, and I know I'm using two big extremes here, but we've all stared at Facebook, we've all stared at Instagram, we've all had family conversations. You get what I'm saying. There is people in both of those camps and a bunch in between. It's very complicated. The reality is everybody, the smartest people on the planet, whether they're politicians, economists, scientists, doctors, are dealing with an empty bottle. Now, there's starting to be gumballs put into that bottle, but we do not have enough data. And I'm telling you that unequivocally, there aren't enough gumballs in the bottle for us to manage towards. We do not have a model. We cannot ensure. We cannot make predictions. And so when you're in that environment, all we can do is be patient. All we can do is be patient with each other, be cautious, be aware, listen, and be kind. Ian Maddox, HMFP, until next time.